said that excellent things are rare. But for a time in the late 80s, for the Northshore girls soccer program, excellence was an everyday occurrence. So common, so habitual, so routine, that maybe it just didn't give the impression that it was special. Their 5 straight state championships and their 75-game unbeaten streak went overlooked, forgotten, and pushed aside.
Because it was probably the first streak like this in the state, it was never really recognized.
Likewise, the memorabilia and the artifacts of their success would be dispatched to their closets or some other storage place to gather dust. Scrapbooks with newspaper clippings, programs, certificates, and pictures. Letterman's jackets, uniforms, and sweatshirts. All these items carrying the memory of those times.
I think because of the level of excellence that they showed for 5-6 years. Not losing for 75 matches is as impressive. Those are all part of it. Winning state championships in a row is part of it. But the level of soccer that they showed at that time, like I said, was well ahead of the curve. To me, was the most impressive thing. That's why they should remember it.
Yet a quarter of a century went by with little notice of who these girls were and all they achieved. Then, a banner serving notice amongst the rafters of the old gym. A sign for all to see. 5 straight state championships. Being the first team in the nation to reach that milestone established these teams, this school, as one of the best soccer programs in the country.
Northshore from the beginning essentially set the standard in the state for the best soccer that there was to be played at the high school level.
For this program, the road to the top was a journey started years before their success.
The Slaughter Youth Soccer League is what really started it all here. Became huge in not that many years.
I asked my dad if I could play, and he told me no, he didn't think I'd like it. It was for boys. So for a year I begged him, and then by the spring, probably 4th grade, he signed me up for recreational soccer, which was at Kings Point. Luckily, Mr. J.B. Burks, along with Al Lasher, James Scott, Olin Bryant, a bunch of dads wanted, I guess, their girls to start playing a sport. And so they started it was a very small league. We played behind Our Lady of Lourdes. We played a little bit at Kings Point. They were just starting with Kings Point. It was nothing but dirt, and they were just lined soccer fields. It was a very small league. Yeah, 7th grade, joined this traveling team with Coach Leonard. And I would say that's where the group was formed that became, went to Northshore, but you also had the Pope John Paul girls and Slidell High girls too.
Select teams gave you the opportunity to travel, to get a lot more experience against top competition.
From the recreation program, these players carried with them a basic technical foundation that would serve them well in high school. Along the way, they were supported by their parents, who played a vital role in their success.
They were probably one of the most important reasons for the success of the program.
I remember the Sohos, the Moffats, the Blakeman's. And it wasn't just like my mom and dad being my cheerleader. Their parents were my cheerleader. And the fathers were really the ones who were intense into it. But they gave us our confidence and made us, feel we could do anything.
We started playing, pretty much a core of us, since we were U10. And so you had a family there, within all of the families, there supporting all of the girls.
To do fundraisers and earn money for uniforms, for balls, for nets, for goals, it was just amazing.
My dad included would be at every game, yelling at all of us, But it was huge, and I know, at the time, I'm sure we didn't appreciate it. But now looking back as a parent of 2 children that I do help coach that have coached their teams in the past, to realize the sacrifices that they made.
With the poise and skills needed to operate at a high level, this program was coming together. But someone would have to step up and out amongst the parents and lead these teams.
Mr. Lasher started the program at Northshore my freshman year, which was the first year that Northshore opened. And there were only 9th and 10th graders. We had a lot of success in the beginning years. And then my senior year, when it was officially sanctioned by the LHSAA, we won state, which was a huge deal. And then Coach Scott came on my junior and senior year as his assistant when his daughter went to Northshore, and Mr. Lasher turned the program over to Coach Scott.
The Louisiana High School Athletic Association recognized girls soccer as an official sport in 1986, sanctioning it for state championships. Under Coach Lasher's guidance, the North Shore girls went undefeated on the season and beat Slidell High in the state championship, thereby securing the first state championship trophy in Louisiana history and the school's history.
To us, it was a huge deal, especially playing against Slidell High. They had a great team. Half of our team from the Slidell Youth Soccer Club played on Slidell's team.
With one undefeated season and a championship under their belts, Coach Lasher turned North Shore girls soccer over to his more than capable assistant, James Scott. Coach Scott would push his teams to even greater heights, thereby leaving an indelible mark on those that came in contact with him, and especially the girls that played for him.
Coach Scott pushed us every day towards excellence.
He was patient with them. He made them work hard.
Just the fact that he would get out there and teach it to us by showing us was a huge deal, I think, on all the girls that played for him.
The thing about James Scott, I think, that made him so effective was his relationship with the players. I particularly remember that he was one of these coaches, as I think any great coach would be, is that he knew how to get the most out of his players.
He taught us, I would think, more than anything, sportsmanship. That, it wasn't about you scored your hat trick and you had 4 goals, but it was how you, played as a team, and that you never slaughtered a team. You were very respectful, and one of the best coaches I've had.
The thing that impressed me was James Scott and how well he had this team coached, how well they moved the ball. They were a little ahead of the curve in Louisiana.
I think his ability to adjust, to make adjustments, to know when to make substitutes, who to substitute. And I think he was a little more knowledgeable of the game than most other coaches in this area because he was a student of the game.
He wasn't paid for this. This was, that's his generosity on his own time. I mean, I can't imagine the amount of hours. And you can't even mention him without his wife. I mean, what did he do at home? Made me the soccer player I am.
The only reason I'm here is because those players out on the field.
Under Coach Scott's tutelage, the Lady Panthers continued their reign of excellence, adding 4 more years to their unbeaten string and 4 more state championship trophies to their trophy case. Yet Coach Scott would be the first to say that it was his girls who played on these teams that made the difference.
I was blessed for a lot of those years with technically good players that could control the ball. The players themselves, they put in the work ethic, that it needed, and they were serious about it.
When they stepped out on the field, they were a team. They played as a team. They played for each other. They played for their school.
There have been some great teams around here, no doubt. The Salmons basketball team, Slidell High baseball in the early years, so I think the girls' soccer at that point, they enjoyed the fact that they were showing that they were as good as anybody around.
We had a lot of girls who were good soccer players, and some went on to play in college and some did not. You might have had some girls who were leading goal scorers some years, and some years they weren't, but we definitely worked together as a team. We developed over time to excellence. We almost became experts.
They wanted to win. They wanted to prove something to this school.
I was so excited. A lot of people get excited to go to high school, to start driving, or to be, varsity cheerleader. Mine was to be part of that team, not just to be on the team, but my mission was to be a starter. And I couldn't wait to be a part of that legacy.
Annual LHSAA-sponsored girls state soccer team.
And there were some classic matchups with crosstown rival Slidell High School.
I especially remember Northshore and Slidell both were among the elite teams in the area. Slidell was very good because they had a lot of good players that also were on some of those select teams.
The level of soccer that they played was outstanding. You could see the skill level was very, very high among these girls, Northshore and Slidell.
When they got up against Slidell, they knew they were going to have to bring their best game.
Slidell High, though, they were a huge competition. To beat Slidell High, I think, kind of gave us a lot of confidence.
They're one of the reasons we probably kept getting better, too, because we knew if we didn't improve, they were going to catch up to us.
In fact, these teams played for the state championship 4 times from 1986 to 1990, with the North Shore girls winning each time. But the Slidell Lady Tigers put a halt to the Lady Panther win streak at 59 when they tied them 0-0 in the 1989 regular season.
As the streak kept going, I think everybody was after us, like I said, it was probably, and it was a big celebration for Slidell to tie us. Definitely it sowed something in us very hard. We were not going to lose, and I'm telling you, we were not going to lose. It was not going to happen, and it didn't.
That tie aside, North Shore exacted a measure of revenge against Slidell, beating them 1-0 in the state championship game that year. Their unbeaten streak would continue and eventually reach 75 games. What these teams, these girls, and these coaches did for those 5 years is something that should be celebrated, remembered, and revered.
It's important for these girls to finally get some recognition. They worked hard to get recognition. They worked hard for this school.
It's a remarkable thing to win that many state championships in a row and that many winning games. It's a rare thing.
There is a huge sense of pride because I don't know if any team, especially another girls soccer team, can repeat what we did.
Not even the mighty Curtis Machine won 75 straight games. So to do that is just, to me, it's impossible.
Every fiber and essence of our soul, our lives, we lived, breathed, and ate soccer.
Even while these Lady Panthers did the impossible, setting a slew of records along the way, their biggest achievement may have been what they left behind. Something so important that it shouldn't take another 25 years to pull out the scrapbooks and put on the uniforms to acknowledge. A legacy that they could not have realized back then, but will forever have an impact on the sport they love.
This was a big stepping stone to what women's soccer is nowadays. You look at the women's national team now. It's made up of kids that followed in the footsteps of these girls.